I've I've already created on an agent in a weekend a better CRM than Salesforce that I used to use for years and years and years and all the cost. Right? Me myself with no coding experience. Now I understand technology very deeply, and I've been deep on AI for a long, long time. But vibe coding is there. Some of the stuff that, when are you going to release this podcast?
In a few weeks.
Okay. So by the time you release this podcast, it's already created. I just haven't, I'm going to put it out on Monday. I've created an AI agent that is me, can answer everything that will live on my Twitter account, because I don't want to keep up with the chaos of everybody else is on Twitter arguing with bots about, and they're already arguing with bots, and they think their time is valuable, and it's centralizing and centralizing. I'm not on Twitter. I haven't been on for 2 years because I did that time is just a total waste of my time. But I thought, what if I create this AI agent of myself, deploy it there, right? For the people that want to argue with bots all day, they can argue with Jeff AI bot, right? And then for the people who want real relationship and real, they can follow me on Noster, and they can move their time as well. But it'll create, and people start to observe, oh my God, this machine I'm in that's taking my attention, I'm feeding the machine, right? But what do we start with? What did you say? Where does AI go? The best AI investment is Bitcoin, because it forces the productivity of all competition, AI, robots, everything, into a ledger that can't be manipulated, bounded to energy. So all of that productivity gain is flowing to the people who hold Bitcoin. And I want to be really careful about that. Flowing to people who own Bitcoin in self-custody. Because if you're holding Bitcoin in somebody else's self-custody, at some point you are going to get rug pulled. It won't be your Bitcoin. It's not your Bitcoin. It's somebody else. It's a claim on your Bitcoin. Just like if you were holding gold in somebody else's vault, at some point in time, they reprice it.
What is your opinion then on Saylor's his strategy?
So I can both really like Saylor. He's a friend of mine, mm-hmm. and understand he helps a whole bunch of people understand Bitcoin. So he can be he can be an entry point for people understanding Bitcoin, and I can have a disagreement with somebody that I like on a foundational foundational structure, and Bitcoin, and if so, I can allow both things to exist without attacking the person. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if I saw Bitcoin as an asset and only an asset, I would want to accumulate as much as possible at the expense of everybody else. From that system, I would want to integrate it into the financial system. You still have a broken financial system on top, but it would create new kings. And a whole bunch of, nothing would have changed in the world. It's still not a free market, right? Because prices, it would be still an inflationary monetary system, a broken market with new kings that controlled all the money. And from that, and from that system, eventually Bitcoin would centralize because of our actions within it, trying to make more money within that. But again, fear, greed, markets, everything else, I understand why a whole bunch of people would want to do that. But it cannot be both over a long term. So in that world, if it were only that, Bitcoin will fail, because it would be centralized, and then what would happen is all of the governments where it was centralized and everything else would come to the nodes and say, here's the deal, here's the Bitcoin that only matters. It's only US coin on top of Bitcoin, right? And it would not look like Bitcoin does today, and it would not be this decentralized secure protocol that it was emerging as money too. So I can understand why that looks like that, why people would do it, and everybody would be feeding it faster and faster and faster and investing in that, right? Because they would think that that was a better Bitcoin. They would be taking risks on their own Bitcoin. At the same time as that would be happening, by the way, we have to go through these things, right? The structure of, if we've always lived in a zero-sum game, to get to an infinite game that is based on the free market where all competition provides value to all people. I'm not saying utopian. I'm saying we'll always have problems. So our job is to solve problems in the free market for other people in that in that world. Then it would have to go through all of our biases and broken minds and everything else that we've always lived in to get to here. So this is a construct that has to happen. A whole bunch of people are going to take more risk there. But as that happens and more people move into money, holding in self-custody, paying in self-custody, building privacy tools on top of it, when these people come to try to change protocol, what do you think is going to happen? If enough people are in the protocol, they're going to say, fuck off, right? And what will happen when that chain split inevitably happens, right? Just like it's happened before, like if you take Bcash and Bitcoin, the longest chain is the chain, right? And so in 2017, we had this when a bunch of big blockers and what would happen in the big blocks is it would have centralized. And a bunch of Bitcoiners, and at that time, it was actually Bitcoin was more centralized. Mining was more centralized. Mining equipment was more centralized. And what that looked like, the fight for control of Bitcoin, was a huge fight. And at that time, if you had Bitcoin, you got two. You got one in Bcash, you got one. And one went to effectively zero, and one is where we are today. The longest chain survived. So what will happen on the centralization, if you know that you're protected from it and you're a node, because most of the people centralizing don't run nodes. Most of the people centralizing don't care about privacy. Most of the people so what will happen to Bitcoin when that system tries to attack the system that's decentralized? And what you can see is it will probably go to zero. And if you have all your money in that system, you will go to zero with it.